Welcome back to the channel. There's been a lot of talk about these DOGE rebate checks that are supposed to be coming out. And let's talk about how this probably isn't going to happen. And if it does happen, it's not going to be happening in the way you think it's going to happen, if you happen to be one of those people that believe this. First off, Elon Musk has claimed to have found billions of dollars in fraud and waste. They said there was roughly $55 billion in contracts and firings that saved money for the U.S. taxpayer. But is it really a savings when people were fired and they're now going to have to collect welfare to survive? So is that saving us money? No. No, it's not. Now, I understand $55 billion. It may sound like a lot of money, but in the whole scheme of things, in the whole U.S. government, that's a drop in the bucket. That's nothing. That's literally, less than nothing when it comes to the overall budget of the United States government. As well, it has been shown that these payments would not go to anybody in the middle class or the lower working class. Either one, the working class people would totally be shut out of this. Basically, anybody that received any kind of income tax return or income is low enough that they don't file federal taxes, but only file state taxes, those people wouldn't see a dime of it. So if you're, making less than $100,000 a year, you can just count it as not coming to your bank account. But the biggest issue here isn't that. It isn't that it may not go to lower income people. It's the fact that it probably won't happen at all. Because of that $55 billion number that I mentioned. It's not what it seems. Yeah, he's posted all sorts of stuff on Twitter saying he canceled this account, he canceled this program or this or that, right? Canceled all these different contracts. But most of those contracts were already either fully paid. That means we lost money because it means we spent money on a contract, we paid people to do something, and then we told them to no longer do it. Or we had funds that were required to still be paid to these accounts, regardless of whether or not the program was canceled. These are things that don't make any sense. These are not savings. It's like when Elon Musk stood up there and said that they had found people voting that were 150 years old. No, they didn't. He's lying to you. He and his little hacker bros are not old enough to understand the programming. That is what that was about. He's even admitted that he was maybe a little off. I wonder why. Because he finally found out that the code that he was seeing was not the code that was being used today. The Social Security system was coded in an older language, an older framework. And that's just facts. The fact is, they've hardly found anything. They haven't found any fraud. They haven't found any abuse. They've just found people that are working, that are doing their jobs and getting fired. So if you're okay with receiving money back from the federal government on the backs of people who lost their livelihoods and are now going to have to go into the welfare system, many of them, until they can find new work. If you think that's okay, maybe you're part of the problem. Now, I understand you want to make sure that people are doing things ethically, that they're functioning properly, that they're doing their job when it comes to being an employee. I completely understand that. And I don't mind the occasional audit of federal workers. But firing them just because you want to save money when their jobs are important? Air traffic controllers just had another incident this week that almost led to another plane crash. We're firing other base, workers that just do the majority of the work for different federal agencies. And one of the offices that were cleaned out of workers was one that was tasked with overseeing companies like Tesla. I wonder why. But the fact is, most of these people are doing their job the way they're supposed to do their job. They're not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs all day doing nothing. And if there's an audit to be done within agencies, let the heads of those agencies do the audits. Right? Not some idiotic, man like Elon Musk who doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what these jobs entail. He doesn't know what these people do for a living. He doesn't understand what they do and why they do it. He shouldn't be the one to make that decision. Donald Trump shouldn't be the one to make that decision. Unfortunately, this is where we are. This is where we are as a country. And people are celebrating these people losing their jobs. How un-American is that? Now, if they were to actually do an audit of these agencies and find workers that weren't doing their job and they were let go, I would be okay with that. But now Elon is telling them if they don't write down 5 things they did for work that week and email it to him, they're going to be fired immediately. By the way, he sent that out on a Saturday evening, right? Expected it done by Monday evening. Basically making as if these people shouldn't be able to have a weekend to themselves. If they don't work on Saturday, they may not have checked their email on Saturday, and they may not have seen it until Monday. All that is creating a less efficient working environment. Now, I know some people out there are going to be like, well, it should be easy to come up with 5 things you did during the week. Maybe so. But have you ever figured how swamped these people may be? That 10 or 15 minutes could affect their ability to do their job in those 15 minutes. Thus delaying everything else getting done for the rest of the week. Now, I haven't worked in very many office settings, but the one office setting I did work in was when I was working for my mother. And if I didn't get stuff done on Monday, early on Monday, that would drag into the next day and the next day and the next day. And I'd have to stay work with her longer on Fridays because I wasn't able to get my job done on Monday. And luckily, her job, it didn't really affect her business. It wouldn't affect her overall functioning of her business. But for the government, you're affecting people's lives, daily lives, things they need by doing things like this. DOGE is not the answer. DOGE is not solving problems. It is not making the government more efficient. It is making the government less efficient and creating chaos within our government and within our nation. All we can do is get a hold of Congress and demand that DOGE be put out of commission. Now, I know that's going to fall on deaf ears in a lot of situations. But that's what we're going to have to do. and hope that Congress will finally listen. Maybe somebody will bring a court case against it and have DOGE blocked. I don't know. Anyways, as always, I'll see you down the road.